Stories that define the day from every corner of the planet. I'm Arjun Samar Mahindran, and this is the Wednesday edition of the World Report. India and the US are tightening the knot. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar has met US Secretary of State Marco Rubio in Washington. Now, the meet signals a fresh push in the India-US ties, bilaterally and also through the Quad. Discussions over critical minerals, energy security and trade remained front and center. Both leaders have welcomed the new India-US trade deal, under which Washington cuts tariffs on Indian goods to 18% from the existing 50% and also opens doors for faster commerce and deeper economic trust. Now, the Indo-Pacific stayed firmly in focus, with both sides stressing stability, prosperity and, of course, democratic alignment through the Quad. Jaishankar called the talks wide-ranging, covering trade, energy, defense, nuclear cooperation, technology and even minerals, with early follow-up meetings have also been agreed. Meanwhile, let's listen in to what the White House had to say.
So our manufacturing sector is obviously something the president cares a lot about. That's why he's so determined and dedicated to his tariff policy, which, as you all saw yesterday, the president struck another great trade deal with India. He spoke with Prime Minister Modi directly. They share a very good relationship. India committed to not only no longer purchasing Russian oil, but buying oil from the United States, also perhaps from Venezuela too, which we know will now have a direct benefit on the United States and the American people. And in addition to that, Prime Minister Modi committed to $500 billion of investments into the United States, including for transportation, for energy, and for agricultural products as well. So this is another great trade deal thanks to President Trump.
Well, you heard Vice House Press Secretary Caroline Levitt there, but now the deal is already stirring debate. That's correct. Now in India, the opposition leaders are demanding transparency, questioning exactly why the announcement came directly from Donald Trump's Truth Social and not from the Indian government. And also in the US, critics too are beginning to ask what's in the fine print of the deal. Now this, as others still keep on backing the deal, we get you some more reactions.
The US is charging India a tariff of 50%, but it's charging the United Kingdom a tariff of 10%. That's a violation of the MFN rule. Likewise, per the recently announced deal on social media, and we should talk about whether it's even really much of a deal, when the U.S. says it's going to drop its tariff to 18% on Indian origin merchandise, it's still a violation of the MFN rule.
The announcement of the conclusion of the trade deal was very welcome and will provide a major boost to U.S.-India relations. I think that this is a big step in the right direction. I don't think that the relationship will turn around overnight. I think that there has been a lot of trust lost over the last 10 months, and there were not only trade problems, but also, there have been disagreements between the U.S. and India, for example, on the aftermath of the India-Pakistan conflict, what happened there. So while this is a major step forward.
Marking the onset of the Year of the Horse, Chinese ambassador to India Xu Feihong has hailed the strengthening ties between New Delhi and Beijing. He's revealed that the bilateral trade has reached a historic high of $155.6 billion in 2025. Highlighting the vast potential of trade and economic cooperation between the two countries, or the two Asian giants here, Xu said China supports India's BRICS presidency, stands ready to strengthen multilateral coordination with New Delhi, and is also committed to working together to advance the development of Global South. The envoy also added that India's exports to China grew by 9.7%. The successful meeting between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping at the Tiananmen Square last August also resulted in a new level of improvement in the ties, including people-to-people exchanges as well. The envoy was speaking at an event to mark the Chinese New Year.
Last August, President Xi Jinping and Prime Minister Narendra Modi held a successful meeting in Tianjin, which leads China-India relations from a reset and a fresh start to a new level of improvement. Exchanges at all levels have become more frequent. economic and trade cooperation has reached new heights. People-to-people exchanges have become more active. The bilateral relations have continued to improve. In 2025, bilateral trade between China and India reaches a record high of $155.6 billion, registering a year-on-year growth of over 12%.
The nuclear arms pact between Russia and the US is set to expire Thursday, removing any caps whatsoever on the two largest atomic arsenals for the first time in more than half a century. That's correct. Now, the termination of the New START treaty would set this stage for what many fear could be an unconstrained nuclear arms race. Russian President Vladimir Putin has declared readiness to stick to the treaty's limits for another year. This if Washington follows suit. But US President Donald Trump has been non-committal about extending the deal. Trump has repeatedly indicated he would like to keep limits on nuclear weapons and also involve China in arms control talks. A White House official who was not authorized to talk publicly spoke on the condition of anonymity on Monday. Here's more.
Вы знаете, что по-прежнему на столе инициатива российской стороны, которая была изложена президентом Путиным. Мы по-прежнему не получили ответа американцев на эту инициативу. Действительно, время уже сокращается, как шагреневая кожа. И буквально через несколько дней мир останется, наверное, в более опасном положении.
Now we take you to the Middle East, where some Palestinians were finally allowed back into Khan Yunis on Wednesday night after Gaza's Rafah border crossing with Egypt opened earlier this week. It comes as Palestinians gathered on both sides of Gaza's border with Egypt on Tuesday, hoping to pass through the Rafah crossing. Now, this comes after its reopening was marred by delays, interrogations, and, of course, uncertainty over who would be allowed to cross and who would not be. On the Gaza side, Palestinians in need of medical care that is unavailable in the besieged enclave gathered at a hospital. Now, this came before ambulances moved towards Rafah, hoping for word that they would be allowed to cross the other way. We get you some reactions.
طريق تعب كله من حد ما طلعنا من الساعة 2 امبارح واحنا واقفين حنا تعبنا على الاخر. انا مش فاهم، انا في عمي اللي سبتها ورايا، عمي اللي كانت معايا، انا اجي وهي تموت، انا اجي وهي تضل وراي. احنا عانينا في طريقنا الي 3 ايام، انا يومين في المعبر، بتت ليلة في المعبر وطلعوني اليوم الظهر وقلنا من الظهر لهلا لل11. صارت شوية معوقات، كانوا ماخذين واحد وتأخر علينا.
Over to Washington, where US President Donald Trump called out a reporter from CNN Tuesday over questions about the Epstein files, telling her that he's never seen her smile and also demanding the country get on to something else. That's correct. Speaking to reporters in the Oval Office after he signed legislation ending the partial government shutdown, CNN's Caitlin Collins asked Trump whether he'd seen references in the Epstein files about his Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, and billionaire SpaceX CEO Elon Musk. Now, what did Trump do? Well, Trump quickly dismissed the question, saying, "No, I did not. I have a lot of things I'm doing, you know." He also told Collins that he thinks Lutnick and Musk will be fine and added that I think it's time now for the country to maybe get on to something else. We get you that spicy exchange next up.
What would you say to the survivors who feel
you are the worst reporter. No wonder CNN has no ratings because of people like you. You know, she's a young woman. I don't think I've ever seen you smile. I've known you for 10 years. I don't think I've ever seen a smile on your face.
I'm asking you about survivors of Jeffrey Epstein.
You know why you're not smiling? Because you know you're not telling the truth. And you're a very dishonest organization, and they should be ashamed of you.
Saif al-Islam Gaddafi, the son of former Libyan dictator Muammar Gaddafi, has reportedly been shot dead. He was 53 years old. The Libyan news agency said his death was confirmed by the head of his political team. His lawyer told AFP news agency that a 4-man commando group carried out a hit attack on his home in the city of Zintan. Saif al-Islam Gaddafi was once seen as his father's successor and played a key role in Libya's relations with Western countries before the 2011 uprising, of course. Now, this is after his father was overthrown and killed. He was jailed for several years together, later released under an amnesty law. US President Donald Trump met for nearly 2 hours with Colombian President Gustavo Petro at the White House on Tuesday, conducting a friendly face-to-face mere weeks after threatening military action against the South American country and also accusing the leader of pumping cocaine into the US. Trump said the pair discussed cooperation in counter-narcotic operations and a number of other topics as well. Now, when asked about drug trafficking in Colombia, President Petro talked about the need to target the true kingpins, who in fact, according to Petro, do not reside inside Colombia, but in cities like Dubai. Here's more.
Pues volví a repetir lo mismo, hay que ir sobre los capos. En Estados Unidos hay una creencia, incluso penetra cuerpos de inteligencia y la política, igual en Colombia, que los capos son los que andan de uniforme y fusil en Colombia, con los diferentes alias que tú como periodista colombiana conoces. Esa es la segunda línea. La tercera.
On to Venezuela, whose acting president Delcy Rodriguez on Tuesday said her government met with U.S. reps in Caracas, capital Caracas, referring to U.S. top diplomat for Venezuela, Laura Dogu, who arrived in the country on Saturday. Now, Dogu met on Monday with Rodriguez almost a month after the U.S. military operation that deposed and captured former President Nicolas Maduro. Now, Dogu, who has served as ambassador to countries such as Nicaragua and the Honduras, posted a photograph with the acting president during the meeting at the presidential palace in capital Caracas. Meanwhile, here's what Delcy Rodriguez had to say.
Ayer justamente aquí mismo en este palacio también recibimos a la representante del gobierno de los Estados Unidos. Bueno, y allí tuvimos una conversación, Frank. Yo siempre digo, el respeto no le quita nada a nadie. La cortesía no le quita nada a nadie. Le suma, le suma. Y yo creo que eso es lo que nosotros le estamos demostrando al mundo y a las relaciones internacionales cómo debe hacerse.
Colombian soldiers and firefighters waded through waist-deep floodwaters on Tuesday to rescue people trapped in Cordoba in the north of the country. According to a press release by the Colombian Army, more than 3,000 humanitarian aid packages, 100 food kits and 100 hygiene kits have been distributed so far. President Gustavo Petro wrote on social media platform X in support of those affected by the flooding, blaming climate change for the floodwaters. We get you a reaction.
Estamos brindándole apoyo a más de 900 familias que lo perdieron todo por esta ola invernal. A esta hora todavía continuamos con las labores de búsqueda, brindando una ayuda humanitaria a todas estas familias que tanto lo necesitan. La mano de la alcaldía, del Comité de Gestión de Riesgos, nuestros bomberos, nos encontramos brindando toda la ayuda.
At least 35 people have died in snow-related accidents over the last 15 days alone across Japan, the country's Fire Disaster Management Agency announced on Wednesday. The highest death toll was seen in the Niigata prefecture with 12 fatalities. A house collapsed due to the weight of snow on Tuesday in Niigata prefecture, leaving a 68-year-old man dead, according to Japanese media. The weather was expected to ease, but many areas have had more snow than in usual years, the Japan Met Agency has underlined. And NASA is filling its massive moon rocket's fuel tank in a crucial dress rehearsal that will determine exactly how quickly 4 astronauts attempt the first lunar trip by humans in more than half a century. That's correct. A successful leak-free test could see the launching by mid-February. Otherwise, it's off until March. The rehearsal counts down to a simulated launch at 200 hours GMT, but could run to approximately 600 hours GMT if the need be. And with that, it's time we slip into a short break. Much more lined up on the other side. Welcome back. Moving on to updates from the world of business and technology, where NVIDIA is now nearing a deal to invest roughly $20 billion in OpenAI as part of its latest funding round. A person familiar with the matter told Reuters on Tuesday. Now, ChatGPT maker OpenAI is looking to raise up to $100 billion in its latest funding round, valuing it at about a whopping $830 billion last week. Companies including Amazon and SoftBank Group are racing to forge partnerships with OpenAI, betting that closer ties with the artificial intelligence startup would eventually give them competitive edge in the AI race. Nintendo shares slid 10% on Wednesday as investors fretted about the momentum of its flagship Switch 2 gaming device or the console. The Kyoto-based gaming company on Tuesday reported robust sales for the Switch 2 during the year-end shopping season, though the system is now viewed as lacking high-profile game titles to drive demand. The Super Mario maker maintained its annual earnings and hardware forecasts, which were viewed as having disappointed the market. Investor enthusiasm, meanwhile, over the prospects for a successor to the widely popular Switch helped push shares to a record high just last year, but they have been sliding since November. And the T20 World Cup extravaganza is all set to begin on Saturday. That's right, with defending champions, Team India, scheduled to take on the USA. In a treat for Indian cricket fans, the T20 World Cup viewers was in the NDTV building just hours ago. Let's take a look at this report.
The trophy that fulfilled 1 billion dreams, the silverware that crowned India on the world stage, returns home where champions are celebrated. Hello and welcome to this special broadcast on NDTV 24/7. I am Preeti Dahiya, with me my colleague and NDTV 24/7 sports editor Rika Roy. Rika, we are so privileged that NDTV is today hosting this T20 World Cup 2026 trophy. Are we looking set to lift this one?
Well, I think so. You know, the last time I saw this trophy and I was privileged to touch this was when MS Dhoni had it.
Wow.
Back in 2027. It's been a really long story since then. Rohit Sharma had it the last time around. No one has defended. Let's see if Surya Kumar Yadav and company is able to do that. Fingers crossed.
We are keeping our fingers crossed, and I'm sure Surya Kumar Yadav is looking all set to once again lay his hands on this silverware. And we, as per ICC rules, are not allowed to touch it because only a select few people can touch it. But Atul, since you are sitting right next to the trophy, how does it feel?
Well, first of all, let me tell you, Rika, this was not the trophy you touched. This is a different trophy from 2007.
It's a different trophy.
It's a different pact.
Second of all, I think
it
this
looks
is
different. Definitely different.
This is a trophy, but it's more like a symbol. It's a token, you know. If you win a gold medal in Olympics, it's not gold. If you win a Nobel Prize, you get the money and the citation, but is the title.
And you also get a replica, by the way.
So by the way, so this is what is it? This is a 500 rupee note, right? So this is a piece of paper with printing on it.
Yeah.
But you and me believe that it's got value. So it's a collective belief. I think this is what it is.
Wow. I think once again you can bank on Atul to give you analogies that fit in somewhere or the other. Boria Majumdar is also with us on the broadcast. Boria, the silverware looks so stunning, and my most favorite moment or World Cup winning moment, historical moment for India is that Rohit Sharma with that slow walk,
yes,
going towards his team with the trophy in his hand. What is your most memorable moment that you can pick up and share with us?
With Rashid there, why not the Pakistan moment? It always feels good to rub it in, isn't it? So Joginder Sharma in Pakistan, that last catch, that was Pakistan's moment to beat India and make history in 2007. Didn't happen, but that's the charm of an India-Pakistan. You beat Pakistan, win that, the IPL is born, the whole T20 revolution starts, commercialism takes a different league in India. This particular trophy, imagine that story for the last 20 years. It has redefined the whole contours of world cricket, which started with that Joginder Sharma over. And like you said, silverware, silver is oftentimes better than gold, and this trophy tells you such. Quick one story from me before I leave.
Yeah.
Michael Johnson was asked ahead of the Atlanta Olympics that, we want to make some special shoes for you. So the shoe manufacturer went and made shoes because it was his home Olympics, and comes to him and demonstrates the shoe to him. And all of a sudden, millions of dollars were spent in that one shoe, and he looks at that shoe and he says, I'm not going to run in it. And they said, what are you talking about? And he said, no, the color of the shoe is silver. I only run in gold shoes.
Oh, wow.
And Johnson was only given gold shoes to run. So while it is silverware, we will only accept a gold trophy. Or rather,
the World Cup trophy on the 8th of March in Surya's hand.
By the way, there is one trophy pending still. We want that back also.
राशिद, आपके लिए वर्ल्ड कप की सबसे ज्यादा दिल के पास मेमोरी कौन सी है, कौन सी याद है जो आप शेयर करना चाहते हैं?
मेरी बेंगलोर की मैच की है, जो कि 96 का अगेंस्ट इंडिया था, क्वार्टर फाइनल बेंगलोर का। वो बहुत यादगार मैच है। पाकिस्तान हार गया था, लेकिन वो जो चीज हमने फील की थी एयरपोर्ट से लेके होटल से लेके ग्राउंड और वहाँ के क्राउड जो था, वो मेमोरीज में याद है। और बहुत सारे मैच इंसान खेलता है, लेकिन कुछ मैच लाइफ के लिए होते हैं, इसीलिए इंडिया पाकिस्तान इतना इम्पोर्टेंट है। तो वो मैच मैं शायद कभी भूल नहीं सकता कि वो मैच था। फिर उसके बाद 99 की वर्ल्ड कप में इंजरी हो गई थी, क्योंकि कैप्टन उस वक्त मैं था, तो लॉर्ड्स पे जो ट्रॉफी रिवील हुई थी उसमें पाकिस्तान को रिप्रेजेंट मैंने किया। उस ट्रॉफी को मैंने हाथ तक लगाया हुआ है। पाकिस्तान फाइनल में होके हार गया, वसीम अकरम वो नहीं ले सके, लेकिन वो जो मीटिंग थी उसमें अजहरुद्दीन थे, वहां से मार्क टेलर थे और बहुत सारे कैप्टन थे जो कि 1919 वर्ल्ड कप में थे।
Sarah Pigeon, Naomi Watts, Alessandro Nivola and other cast members hit the red carpet Tuesday in New York City for the premiere of Love Story. John F. Kennedy Jr. and Caroline Bessette. The FX Limited series traces the chemistry, romance and even the public marriage of one of the most famous couples of the mid to late 90s. Paul Anthony Kelly stars as John F. Kennedy Jr. with Pigeon portraying Caroline Bessette. It's the first installment of Ryan Murphy's Love Story anthology inspired by Elizabeth Beller's book Once Upon a Time, The Captivating Life of Caroline Bessette Kennedy. The series airs the 12th of February.
I mean, it's a story that most people know or are somewhat familiar with, but I think in this series what we intended to do was, bring it back up, bring it out in the world, explore maybe a little bit or what we could infer as to what happens behind closed doors within the relationship. It was very public. We really focused on just like how that love endures given a life in public scrutiny.
Well, those are all the updates we have for you this Wednesday. Take care and have a wonderful day.